And joining us to unpack the different signals out of the U.S. and China on the Trump-Xi meeting is retired Brigadier General David Stilwell. He's a former defense attaché at the U.S. Embassy in Beijing and former Assistant Secretary of State for the Bureau of East Asian and Pacific Affairs. General Stilwell, thank you so much for joining us. Great to have you back on the show.
Here we are again.
Xi Jinping used the words partner and friend in his opening speech, and then he also said that Trump is making America great again. Kind of surprising given the, if you will, adversarial relationship between the two countries, especially the tensions that have been escalating. What do you make of this change in tone, if you will?
It could be one of two things. It could be many things, but my initial estimate is one, the PRC have an entire curriculum on flattery. And the fact that President Trump uses flattery so well, some people criticize him for flattering, the despots like Putin and Kim Jong-un and the rest. But if you notice, he will flatter adversaries and wire brush our closest friends. There's a point to that. The PRC are masters at this. And I can't tell you how many meetings I was in as a defense attaché where the Chinese counterpart would tell my boss what a great guy Stilwell is and how he's giving us everything we want. I mean, that's cutting me off at the knees, using flattery as a tool. It also softens up the person on the other side of the table. It tells the other side that it disarms you. You are reluctant to come out strong, either verbally or in actions when someone's telling you how good looking you are. I didn't suffer much of that in my career. But I would just chalk it up to flattery and to hopefully representing the fact that the PRC is recognizing that they are not in a demanding position, but they need to start giving more.
I want to dig into that a little bit because if you look at different coverages of these talks, Xinhua, or China mouthpiece media, is talking about, cracking down on illegal immigration, telecom fraud, anti-money laundering, artificial intelligence, pandemic response. U.S. media, meanwhile, covering tariffs, China's export controls on rare earths, soybeans, U.S. soybeans, fentanyl, and then also tech when it comes to especially those NVIDIA high-end chips. What do you make of these very different topics, if you will, that the two media is covering?
Both sides are trying to get their position out there. The meeting was so short, none of those things could have been covered in depth. So each side is trying to put out what's important to it. It's also signaling it to domestic audience is what we hoped to accomplish in these things. As you know, the threat or actual restriction on super magnets got most Americans' attention because it really would crush not just civilian production, but support for military development and hardware. So I think that was more aspirational, both sides saying we hope we can get to this, but there's no agreements made, nothing. It was just kind of a visual for everyone. And I think, as has been said before, our ASEAN friends would often use the analogy that we don't care if you guys are making love or fighting. When the two elephants are together, they end up trampling the grass, meaning ASEAN. And so I think I know our folks in Southeast Asia are hoping for a more balanced and boring interaction.
In terms of these talks, heading into them, there was some concern that, some headlines at least, was saying, President Trump is going to fold on the Taiwan issue, like hand over Taiwan to Xi Jinping. It doesn't look like that's happened. He said Taiwan is Taiwan, which many people are seeing is dispelling that fear. What do you make of that? There's been a lot of talks about the U.S. and its strategic ambiguity, if it should become strategic clarity in terms of deterrence. What are your thoughts on all of that?
We did the CHIPS Act, or we sent the Undersecretary for Economics, Keith Kropp, to Taiwan in September of 2020. He met with TSMC leadership and began hammering out the deal that resulted in TSMC setting up a foundry in Phoenix. Taiwan is not just about chips, but it is an area where they are world leading, and I think the president understands the importance of that. So again, it's hard. My advice to people who try to put too much, conclude too much from what the president says is look at what he does, not what he says. And so, we're getting positive words on Taiwan, and I think that matches positive action as well. I mean, the Trump administration, Trump 1.0, really extended itself on the CHIPS deal, began the legislation that turned into the CHIPS Act, and all of these things were positive for the Taiwan side.
Well, a lot at stake for sure. General Stilwell, as always, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. We'll see you.